Welcome to the Kynective Media Podcast, and I'm your host, Jules Natten. Today, we're joined by Alison Hemmings, career coach for executive women. If you've been reimagining your career and you're stuck on how getting seen and hired, this is the podcast for you. Alison, welcome to the Kynective Media Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
We connected on LinkedIn, and I'm really excited to share your story. And do you want to just tell our listeners and viewers a little bit more about your professional story?
Perfect. Well, I cut my teeth in recruiting through retail. So I was in retail for several years and then got into recruiting. I worked with a large Canadian national firm and quickly grew to be one of their top recruiters, and then decided to go out on my own. So I had my own recruitment agency for 12 years. And during that time, one of the things I consistently saw was that people, when they were coming to apply for their roles, it wasn't always the most qualified person who got the job. And a lot of times it was the least qualified person who would get the job. And I always used to prepare every single candidate for an interview. Like, even if you were, for a VP role, or we're talking a receptionist position, if you're going to meet with any of my clients, I would meet with you first. And I start to see this need for people having, interview skills and being able to prep, because most people have no idea how to run a job search and how to navigate through that. And so that's what opened the world up to coaching. And 2 years ago, I opened up my coaching firm, and here I am. Now I help people navigate through the finding purpose in their work.
When we talk about changing careers, looking for career paths, I read recently somewhere that there is less of a gap. We always thought about men and women, how they apply differently, that men will apply for a role even if they're not qualified, and women are more likely to not. But I was looking at some stats where that's actually not true. I think it's 53% of women who are underqualified will apply, but it's 56 with men. But women in the workforce tend to apply more specifically to roles. Like, they won't just blanket shoot out their resumes everywhere. They'll be like more focused. And let's speak a little bit about your role in coaching people, and how the uncertainty of applying for roles and how traditional paths maybe don't work anymore.
Well, I mean, I'm not a big fan of applying for positions. I think it's one of the biggest waste of time that one can do. Statistically, when you are applying for jobs, you're only looking at about 2% of the roles that are available. And that doesn't even speak to the roles it doesn't even mean that these roles are real. A lot of companies post fake jobs, or they're building pipelines, or even for recruitment agencies, it's a very well-known strategy that recruitment agencies do. Is post ads to generate attention from candidates. It's like free marketing, and it's a way for them to be able to build their database as well. So I'm not a fan of applying. And one of the things that I do in my program is really get people to move away from that and use more strategic ways that are able to get you in front of a hiring manager. So I'm not a big fan of applying, but certainly when it comes to women, we definitely do not apply to we could be applying to way more things. I think we've been conditioned to believe that you have to have every single skill set that is listed on the job description, or else you cannot do that job. And, job descriptions.
Yeah, every box has to be checked.
Exactly. And men are like, oh, I can do 2 out of 5. Well, not perfect.
I can do that, no problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's go.
Exactly, right? Job descriptions are just fancy wish lists for companies, right? That doesn't mean anything. A lot of times people are just cutting and pasting them from different job sites, or from other positions that they may have. It doesn't really mean that I certainly wouldn't base my candidacy on a job description per se, right? Especially, most people are just going on ChatGPT. What's a project manager and pulling up the job descriptions from there, right? So
And AI is really having an impact too on those job boards. And like, for example, the first one I think of is Indeed, that there's probably like filters and stuff that block you from moving through the progression of landing that job, if it's even a real job.
Absolutely. And that's why I mean, even before AI, like I like to tell this story to people just for context. I used to be in automotive recruitment. I'm not going to say the name of the company, but let's just say it is like a massive company, innovative at the time. And they were having a serious problem with finding a specific person, which was tool and die. Tool and die makers are essential in automotive, and they did not, there was such a shortage of people that they were losing thousands of dollars per minute because they didn't have the right people in place. And they hired my agency to specifically hire Canadians to come across the border and work for their plant. And we would speak to candidates and they were like, we've applied 10, 15 times. And this company, they just couldn't find them in their own database. So that's what I mean about hiring is broken. And yeah, like, so can you imagine your company is losing thousands of dollars per minute? I think it was like 80,000, like it was like ridiculous kinds of money because you do not have the right person in place. And people have applied to the job and can do the job to solve the problem, yet the company can't find them within their ATS system itself. So it's a huge problem that happens, and that's why I always say it's just you want to stay away from them. The ATS, no.
Is there some truth to that old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know?
I always say it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Who knows you? All right, flipping that around.
Exactly. You need to be visible. People need to see you and they need to know what you do. And that's a whole different thing than just who you know. Like you can know everyone, but if they don't know what you do, what good is that, right? If they're not sure how to find you, great. Like I know people from I was in kindergarten, but do they know me? Like, right? So
Do you think is LinkedIn a good platform to make sure people know about you?
100%. LinkedIn is an amazing platform. I've met lots of amazing people on LinkedIn, yourself is included, right?
Yeah, that's how we met.
Yeah, exactly. It's very underutilized. It has millions and millions of followers, but only 1% of people post regularly on the platform. So in terms of visibility, I mean, you have to be strategic. Of course, you can't just post on LinkedIn and hope that you're going to go viral. But in terms of visibility and having access and people seeing you, it is a fantastic platform. And if I was looking for a job, that's where I would be spending the majority of my time would be networking on LinkedIn or using LinkedIn to network, right? Like not just sending cold generic messages, but gathering information and using that information to get my resume on the desk of a hiring manager.
With hiring and how you support people, I was on a presentation with you, and you were talking about hiring trends for I think it was 2026 and 2027. Can you highlight that for everybody while we're talking about the hiring process?
Yeah, I mean, now things are changing, right? Like the world is changing very, very quickly. And with that, we're going to start seeing this influx of the need for fractional work or freelance work. I've been talking about this for years, and it's just the time is just getting smaller and smaller. And so the way that we're going to be working in the future, most of us are going to are going to have a couple of companies that we work with. We're going to be fractional workers. Longer the days of how our parents worked, like my mom, lived in Canada for 40 years. She had two jobs in 40 years, one for 20 and another one for 20. She loved them. She's very lucky in what she did, but that's just not the reality of how things are going to look, the future of work is going to look, right? And what we're going to be doing is working small amounts, fractional for different people. So, that's the way it is. So learning how to be able to navigate through the job search and networking is really, really important especially to get it now, because as the future goes, this is how it's going to be for everyone. So you might as well learn it now because this is the future of work. Most of us, it's like 50% will be freelancers, fractional work,
50%.
yeah, and consult and uh yeah, contractors. I couldn't find the word.
But there's some great benefits of doing that. Like, some people might be like, "Oh my god, I'm so scared, like, I'm not gonna have a regular paycheck, or, I won't have benefits," 'cause there's the pros and cons of this, but, I would think that the pros of, having fractional work and being independent is you get a little bit more work-life
Mm-hmm.
balance, would you say?
100%.
And then it's more exciting because you're working with different people. Your knowledge base probably grows. Um, you feel it's different needs for you in your goals for your workspace, I gather. Can you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot more autonomy, I find, in a fractional role. The option to work remote, I'm here in Colombia. I've been working remote for years, so that's another benefit that a lot of people have. Yeah, just the flexibility. Um, Also from a professional standpoint, like I'm the kind of person, when I was working for other companies, is I really like to come into a business and solve the problem. Like you can throw me into the jungle and I'm going to come out and we're going to figure it out. Like I'm one of those people. And a lot of people have this personality trait where it's like, you're going to come in when there's problems and you solve it, and then you solve it and then you're bored. That's the case. That's why a lot
Yeah,
of, right? Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
understand, right? A lot of people can understand that feeling, right?
yeah,
And so with the fractional work, it gives you an opportunity to really kind of niche down and focus on the things that really excite you. And to be able to do that more often. Um, I know for me, like when I left the recruitment agency that I worked at before going on my own, I looked at going into corporate. Like that was a thing for me. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go work a corporate organization. A lot of my clients already were like, call us, like we'll hire you. And then when I looked at it from a strategic standpoint, like all the placements that I had to make, if I had worked for X company, maybe I would have got 80 or $100,000 a year working there. But if I worked independently, it was like $300,000. And I'm not limited to just taking on one employment. I can do this with multiple companies as well. So it's just different ways of being able to look at things. And to be able to get the most, because let's call it what it is. Long are the days that companies are also really loyal, like how I described my mom's experience, having 2 jobs in 20 years, right? Like nowadays, how quick are they quick to let you go if something doesn't happen?
yeah, very quick. And we're seeing a lot of layoffs and restructuring due to the impact. When I was on one of your presentations, you talked about something that really struck a chord with me is niche is what you need to focus on when you're in your job search. Where I always thought of myself as a jack of all trades and a master of none,
Hmm.
and that used to be a good thing, and now it's not so good.
Well, I think, I always get this expression wrong because of my Canadian accent, so I'm going to try it again. But
Okay,
every
okay, go
time,
for it.
Americans will say niche is rich, so it sounds so much better, but niche
Niche
is
is rich.
rich and
Okay, we'll
broad
go.
is
We'll be
broke.
American for a moment.
Yeah,
Broad
so,
is broke.
yeah.
Okay. Well, we can
So,
be American for a
ex-
hot minute.
exactly, just for a minute though, and then we're going right back to being
Yeah,
Canadian.
hot minute.
um, but yeah, like here's the thing: when you are very broad, like when somebody presents their skill set to a hiring manager or so forth, and they come across as a Jill of trades, it's like that worked before, but now what companies are looking for is people who have really niche down and can articulate the value that they bring, right? And so when it's very broad, it's like, well, what does that mean, right? But when you're able to really kind of get down to the nitty gritty of what you bring to the table, there's always a bigger. It just appears to be more valuable, right? It's the same approach, like when you're applying for jobs, if you're applying for all of them, right? And you're trying to fit into all of them. It's like, that's where people get really frustrated because they've wasted all this time, just like spraying and praying, right? And so when you really niche down, it's like easier. Yeah, you want to come across to a company as somebody who's going to be able to solve problems. Companies hire people who solve problems, especially at the executive level. I think the Jill of all trade aspects works when you are more junior in your career because it just shows that you're more flexible. But once you get into the senior level, you really want to kind of niche down and be able to show exactly what you bring to the table and how you're able to be a solution to these employers because they're paying the big bucks. Like they're paying $150,000, $200,000 for you to solve this X project, not for you to just be the generalist of everything. They can hire other people to do that. They're paying for your expertise. So understanding that is vital.
And do you help people who you work with figure out what their niche, did I say it right? Is? And like, can you take someone and coach them and be like, this is what you actually do? Because sometimes I feel like it's really hard to look at yourself and speak for yourself,
Hmm.
and sometimes some guidance, like a different perspective really helps hone in on that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's my God-given talent is that I'm really able to understand and to help people articulate what they bring to the table from my years of experience as a recruiter, right? So most of my clients, I mean, a lot of clients come to me and they have no idea what they want to do next in their career. A lot of people have a business inside of them that's just waiting to be born, and that is just fear. So that's a big thing that I'm seeing now is
Yeah,
people, yeah,
huge.
people leaving corporate
Yeah,
and wanting to
fear.
have, yeah, fear will, oh my God, fear is a pain in the neck. It will stop you dead in your tracks, right? Yeah, people going into fractional work and having more consultancies. I've been able to help that, or just kind of pinpointing what kind of work that you want to do, how you want to show up, how you want to be perceived. Those are the things that I help people with. And then, making sure that all the branding and stuff so that people can see you as well, because you have to be visible during this time. Like you can't be a kept secret and then expect to get a huge position or for people to see you. You kind of have to put yourself out there. And I help during all of those processes.
So you help them get seen and get hired as well. So that's part of your coaching
Hmm.
strategy is, maybe
Yeah.
fine-tuning their resume, helping them with their LinkedIn and how they're posting. Is that do you wanna speak a little bit more about what
Abs-
what your services entail to get that person that
yeah.
job they want?
Perfect. Well, my program, I call it the Career Glow Up program. And that's exactly what we do. We look at where you are, where you want to be, and what's stopping you from getting there. That's kind of the first process. I always use this analogy. It's like if you were to put your house up for sale, right? You're not going to just put your house up for sale. Like houses are $1 million in Canada, like in the GTA, $1 million if you're lucky to find a basic house in like the suburbs somewhere, right? And if you were to put your house up for sale, you're not going to just open the doors and just say, okay, what's the best offer I'm going to get? And that's how we look at your career. We look at it. I mean, really, without your career, you're not going to have your house. So let's call it what it is. It's very, very important,
Right.
right?
So let's paint those walls a little bit and give it a refresher.
Exactly. Let's do a little bit of staging and let's clear out the junk that may be holding you back. Like, I know for me,
Oh,
right? Like, you got to clear the attic. Like, no one's going to buy your house if you got a whole bunch
yeah,
of boxes. It's the same thing with your talent, right? Um, like a lot
okay.
of times people have trauma from their workplace. We carry a lot of that,
Absolutely.
right? Like I had a terrible, terrible boss, and terrible coworkers that backstabbed me before I opened my own business. I had to heal from that. Like I had to heal because it hurts. So we clear out your attic and then we start preparing to put you onto the market. Um, And that can look different from so many different aspects, especially for women. We believe that you have to have done it in order to do it, and that's not the truth.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And we've also been conditioned to play small, right? To be
Yeah, not take
quiet.
up space in a room.
Don't take
Yeah, to
up
be
so much
quiet. I
space.
mean, that's patriarchy for decades, right?
Exactly, exactly. Whereas our counterparts, I always joke about Connor, my fictionary person, but Connor is out putting his hand up for everything. I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, taking the credit. And we're sitting back thinking, I got to be a good girl because that's how I was conditioned. That's what mommy and daddy told me to
Yeah.
be. And now you're 45. Like, that's not the same, right?
Yeah, yeah. So what you're saying is be a bad girl.
You gotta be a bad girl. You know what? You gotta just really put yourself out there, and it's very counterintuitive. And so, in the process of working with me, that's my gift. My gift is to help you get to the other side of this without sacrificing yourself, without taking less than what you deserve, and without
Finding your voice.
exactly finding your voice. Like, I've had clients who've gone through my program who were like VPs and we're just going to take a next VP role. And I'm like, no,
Right.
you're bigger than this. And then
Hell
now,
no. Hell no. You're not
exactly,
doing that.
exactly. No, you're not going to waste your talent at Scotiabank. Like, no, we're not doing this. And have gone on to open 7-figure businesses just because of, looking at it from a different angle. So it's really your career reimagined, how you show up, how you generate income from so many different aspects, not just the traditional way as well. Although if that calls you, we can help you with that too.
And I mean, we all know that other people's perspective, especially when it's you and it's so personal, they can see so much more than you because you're stuck. Most people are stuck. I mean, when you reimagine your career or if you're in a toxic work environment, most people I speak to are literally stuck. They don't know what to do next, and fear is holding them back, not seeing themselves clearly, opportunities in the workplace, the how, that they know the why, but I feel like most of the time it's the how. How do I reimagine my career and move forward with this? Working with you, like, is there a timeline, like, with your program?
So people see results in 90 days. My program is a 90-day program. I have a 6-month program, but my typical program is 90 days. My 6-month program is career plus life, but I know we're only talking about careers right now. And yeah, during that time, that's where we go through everything. And it's really a reset on how to reimagine how to work, how to navigate the fear and to kind of move through it, right? Because especially as you get older and you have so many more dependents, not like, oh, okay, you're 27. If it doesn't work out, you could just move home with mom and dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, you got a mortgage.
Yeah, you got a mortgage. Some of us have kids. Some of us have rent we're paying for our kids. Like, life is
Yeah,
completely different.
exactly. And rent is expensive.
Yes, very expensive. And like to earn a decent wage, like a living wage in Toronto with the expenses here is it's so much more than what we're seeing. Are there trends right now in salaries? Are you seeing anything? Or is it going down? Is it going up? Just curious.
I see that the trend of salaries is kind of staying a little stagnant. However, I do see, like, in our program is
Okay.
different because we really push people to get more salary.
Yeah,
Because most
we're going
women,
up, not down.
we're going up. Exactly. I'm not trying to coach anyone to make less money.
Yeah.
Like, don't come to me if you want to make less. I'm not your girl.
I don't. Who wants to make less? Yeah, you're not the girl. Next,
Yeah.
next.
Exactly. I want to help you get
Okay.
rich.
Yeah, you want to help us land that 6-figure role, correct?
Exactly. Especially in Toronto, like, it's 6 figures is now like it's kind of like the entry. Like, I remember when I graduated, $100,000. Like, if you made $100,000 a year, you were considered like really well off. Like, it was like, damn, $100,000 a year. Like, now it's like that you're just getting by now, unfortunately, in Toronto, like with that kind of
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we help with all of those things. It's super important to, to negotiate that.
Okay. And you all, like, I know we've got a big women focus in our conversation right then, but you're not gender specific. You do take on male clients as well. We don't want to exclude the men here.
Yeah, I do. And I've been very successful with men because of my automotive background. Um, but yeah, for one-on-one, I work with everyone, but in my groups, I keep it just with women, just because the energy changes, right? Like I want to kind of
All
keep it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Girl power.
Exactly, exactly.
Alison, is there anything else that maybe you want to share with us that we want to talk about that I might have missed in this conversation?
Well, the only thing I would just suggest for our listeners today is just to kind of get away from the job board junkie cycle. That's a term that I coined, which is you want to just like a lot of times when you're job search, we start mistaking activity for results. So you get online and you start applying for jobs, and it feels like you're doing something, right? Because you are. It takes a long time. You can spend 8 hours a day applying. And really what you want to focus is on where you're going to get the results. So if you are on your job search and you've tried everything, you've been applying and applying and applying, I would encourage you to start looking at it from a different angle. And that's that loop, right? So you apply, you wait, you hear nothing, and you apply again. And it's that cycle. And then we see people a year is the average time now, right? And I just want to encourage you that there is a different way, a better way of being able to find work. You don't need to be on the cycle. You can get off. There is hope, the light at the end of the path, and yeah, there are companies that are hiring, even though we don't hear it in the news. They are hiring.
Is it good to go directly to say, think about companies you might want to work for if you're not doing the freelance, and go to their website and see if they have opportunities rather than going to your job boards?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way, but just because it's not posted, it doesn't mean that it's not needed, right? Like a lot of, and that's one of the things is like, you have to learn to become a detective and anticipate the needs of a company, right? Leaders anticipate that. So, especially when you're at the senior level and you're bringing in like specific deliverables, right? Like if you, for instance, if you were in HR and you see a company is coming to Canada, well, what are they going to need? What do you think they're going to need? They're going to need strategies. They're going to need talent acquisition, right? So you want to get ahead of that and then start reverse engineering, and speaking
Okay,
to the
so
right
don't
person.
wait.
No, never wait.
Make the job. You're saying make the job. Find the opportunity to make the job.
100%. In my recruitment firm, one of the reasons why we were able to find so many VPs, so we focus on executive level searches, and those jobs are never posted. So I teach my clients the same process as I did as a recruiter to find those roles, which they were going to pay me plus 25%, right? So it's easier for you because they're not going to, it's a gift. I teach you that a very similar process is going to help you get to where you want to get to much quicker.
Okay, Alison, if someone wanted to connect with you to take advantage of your services or attend one of your information sessions, what's the best way for them to connect with you? And of course, we're going to add this to the show notes with some links to make things easy.
All right, perfect. Well, they can find me on LinkedIn, of course. LinkedIn is my baby, and I spend a lot of time on that platform. I'm also on Instagram, and I do offer a career strategy call to people who are interested in learning a little bit more. It's an hour complimentary call where we kind of go over where you are, where you want to get to, and see if we can work together to help you get to where you want to get.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I'm sure you have so much more information that you could share with our listeners and viewers. So I highly encourage everyone to reach out to Alison on LinkedIn and take that moment to change their lives for the better. Thanks again, Alison. Once again, a big thank you to Alison Hemmings for joining us today on the Kynective Media Podcast. Hopefully you can now reimagine your career a little bit better and take those next steps to your new six-figure job. Remember to reach out to her, keep staying connected, and keep telling the stories that matter.